Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So this is just an opportunity for people just to, again, to see each other, to connect. As we were talking about a minute ago before we started the recording, I think one of the most important things that we can do right now is just focus on the connection, making those connections really take place and make sure they happen, not just with teacher to student either, but colleague to colleague. Figure out ways in which we can make sure that we stay connected. And besides the epidemiology and the science of all this, the germ side of everything, the psychology side is going to be something that's going to have some real long lasting impacts. And so I think we just need to find ways of keeping some levels of normalcy. That's where I come down with the education stuff, which is provide stuff, but I'm not worried about accountability at this point. And I don't really think that we should be. So that's where I'm coming down on things, and anything that I can do to help, of course.
Was anybody at the morning?
Oh, sorry, Sharon.
Sharon, you're muted.
She's muted.
Okay, am I mute now?
Nope.
Okay, one of the things that came up through some of the Facebook conversations, some of the email conversations I'm having is teachers noticing what other teachers are doing, and they're worried about expectations. Are they doing enough? They're not doing what this teacher's doing or what that teacher is doing. And I kind of said, whatever you're doing is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I just needed to put that out there, that some teachers are noticing that like fourth grade has their day one expectations and we didn't do that. And someone else is saying, well, I saw a video on Facebook. And so that I just needed to put that out there because that's what I'm hearing from the teachers that I work with, that they're worried about what are their obligations, what are their expectations, and is what they're doing enough?
I saw one. I don't know if it was the same one, Sharon, but I did see a Facebook post about that. And there were some comments underneath, and there were some really good points that right now there is no right or wrong because it's new. We don't know what we're doing. And that's kind of the attitude I'm having toward it is just I'm doing the best that I can, and no, it's not perfect, and no, it hasn't been exactly smooth yet, but the work is out there and the kids have the opportunity to continue their learning. And that for me, that's my entire focus. I know it is for all of us, but like, that's just for me personally, how I'm going at it.
Right. And
even if they're not doing the work I assigned, I want them learning something.
And I agree with that. My issue is I just needed to put it out there. So if other people are feeling that way, or just to let everyone know that that's a feeling, and all we can do is say, yes, you're doing the best you can. There are no expectations. Nothing has been shared that you need to do Zoom or you need to do Facebook or we're doing the best we can at this moment. So that's all I wanted was to have that heard.
Absolutely. That's crucial. And one of the things that the board approved the other night was this remote learning plan, and it's out there on the website and on the remote learning website. And one of the things I'd recommend looking at is that overall plan, not just the sources at the top and down below. Because one of the things that they approved was, there's a teacher, student, and whatnot communication, and there's no indication, there's no recommendation there of every day, twice a day, 30 minutes a day, checking in, taking attendance. That's not there. What is there is making sure that we're doing what we can to engage and check in with them on a regular basis. How we define regular, we haven't come to that yet because we're in day 3 of this, day 4 of this. And so we don't know. And so I think we all just are in a place where we just need to be flexible and accommodating. And, if the stuff's not getting done in the way that we want it to, then we figure out other ways of helping that get done. And if the students aren't connecting or aren't reacting to the things we want them to do, what else might we try? And I think that's where these collective sharing of genius will become really helpful.
Okay,
long term.
And I think, how many of us just in this group have already had that moment where you're like, oh, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have done this. And that's frustrating because all of it's out there right now and you can't really take it back or, I mean, I suppose you can add more things, but I've definitely had those moments where I was like, oh man, what a great idea. Like the fourth grade team saying, doing that daily pacing, excellent idea. But I think we can use that hopefully to, as we move forward, as one of those things that we've learned.
And I think it is so neat that we can have access to all these other schools and things on Facebook to see what they're doing and look at what's comfortable for you to do. Because I've already had contact with a couple of teachers that said they're going to start practicing with something, and when they get to that comfort level with it, use that as a new venue to communicate with students. But I think it's important to give yourself that permission to have that learning curve, because like we've all pretty much said, this is new territory.
Absolutely. And I'd also encourage everyone to think about it this way. When you're looking on Facebook or on Twitter or Pinterest for these ideas, you're seeing someone's idea that's fantastic and great, but you also have great ideas. You have great things too. And your idea that you might not think is a big deal or anything that's special, if you share that out, that could be a game changer for someone else. And that's the connective relationship that I think we need to also have, and make sure that if you have an idea or thought, put it out there, share the genius that you have, because it could be a game changer for someone else, just like you're seeing these game changers for you.
I think we have to be careful though, Matt, because I'm seeing also things from community members saying we're putting lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff out there, and they're overwhelmed about what to pick. So we might want to look this stuff over and say, the virtual website, awesome. Here's the virtual website. Here's something to do. But if we just send, here's 900 math games, parents don't know what to choose. So I think we have to be really careful too, as consumers, what we put out there for our parents to use as well. Choice is good, but too much choice is like, So that's something else just to think about.
Sure. Great point.
That's a very, very common thought that has come up in the previous that I've attended, Sharon. And so my affirmations for all of you that are here this morning are first this. Number one, take care of yourself first. Number two, Greg sent a lovely email out to his cohort yesterday that said, get off your screens, operate as if these are business hours. He was saying people were responding and replying to him too quickly, meaning they were leaving themselves open and accessible. And if anybody else is feeling like I am, I feel like kids need that, especially here, front loading. They need immediate feedback, and they need me to be available to answer their questions right that second. And I think that's fair to say, maybe for this week and next week, we're going to need to be that way until this gets to be a common groove for the kids. The third affirmation that I have for you is less is more. There is absolutely no question that the sourcing pool, and we can tell that, Matt, from your emails, is endless. It is bottomless. And we have to be careful not to get sucked into that, and to keep things simple and give them simple things to, not easy, but just simple things to do and less things to do, because they have life to learn right now. So everyone should feel validated that we're all doing a fantastic job at this. I've been talking to friends from the Herman district, as well as some of the areas out here by Bangor and Brewer, and they don't have any of the lead time like what we did having last Friday and Tuesday of this week to get things going and ready. So we are coming from a very advantaged place, and we're really blessed. And we're blessed to have each other. So that's it.
My daughter, who works at Greenville now, had a Zoom session with her staff last night at 7:00, and they are just getting on the remote learning bandwagon now. And she is feeling, knowing what Dexter has done, that they are so far behind. And I said, no, people just have to start where they currently are and move forward from there, and not put that kind of pressure on themselves. And like we've all said, the important thing is that the kids still feel connected to their school and that support network that the school offers.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Jody.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer. Welcome to the party.
Thank you for that, Holly.
Go in the living room, please.
So for those of you just coming in, if you're not talking to this is a lot of folks in here, make sure that you're on mute, because if everyone's microphones are going at the same time, it can be overwhelming to earphones and speakers and things. And all we're doing here is just having an open time to talk and chat and connect. So talk about what's good, what's working, what's frustrating. I'll tell you, for myself, I am looking very much forward to having a walk outside in about 45 minutes. Even though it's raining out, I've been kind of in isolation for the last 3 days. So it's going to be nice to get out and enjoy some fresh air for a little bit.
So I may have a strange lead question. I just was wondering how anybody else might be dealing with this. And as much as I'm concerned about, doing what's best academically for my students, and I'm more so worried about those connections. And I'm not sure if anybody else, I'm sure we are, but I'm feeling like I'm almost grieving, in the sense that I cry like every last day of school every year. And it just feels like I've just been ripped away from these kids, and not just the ones that I'm currently working with, but any that I normally see during the day. Okay, just a second. I'm not being ripped away from these kids, but all the others. So just as when, like Leslie was saying about taking care of ourselves, if anybody has suggestions of how maybe we could think about that mental side of it, I know my heart would feel a little better if anybody else has ideas of what they're doing.
So I'm going through a lot of the same thing that you are, Patrice. I mean, you and I have had kids that we go on vacation and they're gone when we come back. So that idea of the unknown is really hard. And if I let myself dwell on it too long, I can end up in not a great place. But I guess the way that I'm choosing to go about this is that the relationships aren't gone. They're just different right now. I mean, we still can get in touch with the kids. Most of them anyway, we can get in touch with most of them. They can get in touch with us if they need to. And it's not like it was even a week ago, but they're not gone either.
Patrice, have you thought about Flipgrid and sending something out just to say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, Matt's already seen my Flipgrid where at the very end the puppy pees on the floor and the kids start crying, and
Yeah, well that's
I've used Flipgrid, so at least I'm getting to those kids who have done one back. Sometimes they don't like to do one back, or they don't want to, or they like put a sticker over their face, so it's still like at least I can hear their voice. But that's been pretty neat, so that I felt like maybe at least I could let them see me, hear me.
Yeah, and you are familiar with it, and that is one way to touch base with kiddos. So
yeah, I have done that. I think when we have those like the laws of love, or like the type of person that you are, I'm just gonna miss like my hugs and my high fives and those kids that come to visit, and the kids that want to work really hard to eat lunch with you, and that those emotional ties are where, just feel like Jen said, it's not gone, it's not over, it's not hopefully going to obviously be like this forever. It's just different for now. So I think I'm going to take that as just different for now to ease me a little.
Yep.
Patrice, thank you. I just would add too that all the things that we would normally distract ourselves with, when we feel these kind of odd feelings, we can't do right now, right? We can't go out to dinner. We can't go shopping if we're shopaholics. And so we're equally kind of isolated, and that's going to impact us more. So I know that Matt, a little checklist. I'm going to try to figure out Zoom on my own, but I might need your help because I think the social work guidance folks want to set up a Zoom maybe every week to be checking in and see how we can support. But it doesn't have to just be about kids. It is absolutely about staff as well, and whatever you need, we want to help with. And my dog did not bark for the 30 seconds. Yay.
One of the things I'm working with some of the teachers who I know about across the state is figuring out ways in which we could do virtual and both synchronous and asynchronous role-playing games. Like for those of you who don't know, like Dungeons and Dragons, which kind of gets like, yeah, it brings out the nerd in me and I'm okay with that. But one of the things about those role-playing games is that they really teach empathy in a lot of ways, because you have to embody the character and understand where a character is coming from. And so in times like this, that might be a really great, powerful tool that we can use in a way that's both synchronous and or asynchronous. So as I'm building this with a couple of teachers who are really, they're way deep into it. I haven't done that kind of stuff in forever, but I've been trying to figure out ways. But I'll create some stuff here too that think about those ways in which we can go just beyond the academic side, but also to keep those building relationship side. And can we, if we want to get to the point where we weave in the academics later on to it, we can, but that's less important to me at this point. It's really, like I said, the connection and keeping the connection and maintaining and finding new ways in this new world. So.
Hey guys, it's been really fun this morning. I've spent the past 45 minutes just emailing with kids back and forth. They were asking questions about what I sent, and then they would, they're like, well, are you doing this too? I said, yes, I am. So I took a screenshot and sent them what my results were. And they're like, I said, oh, I realized I drink way too much soda. But just little things like that. And the kids, they're finding it amazing, just from the outside of the classroom. They're like, oh my God, you're like a real person. I actually had one comment on that, like, you're just like us right now. I said, yeah, we are. We're all on the same learning curve. So it's been really kind of fun that they've actually reached out too. And I just think they're looking for that connection just as much.
So second grade has created a, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. I can't tell. It still says Sandy on my screen. I don't know how to do. Hey, I see it on that. But anyway, we've created a private group. So some of you guys are in it. I'd love to have all of you in it. I don't, would have, the more the merrier. But we've reached most of our kiddos' parents. And from what I'm hearing, is the kids are loving seeing some of our live videos. And I got to tell you, my first live video yesterday, I was terrified. I don't think I've been so nervous to go. I can talk in front of a group of kids all day long, but to sit here and stare at myself on a screen is so uncomfortable. But I'm hearing that the kids just loved being able to see our videos. So like thinking about what Patrice said, I'm having extreme withdrawals too, and it's making me so much appreciate the chaos of my classrooms. But I just miss it so much too. But anyway, the kids are loving seeing us live, and I think it's making them feel more connected while we're away from each other. So if there is a way that you guys can go live occasionally or post a video of yourself, I think the kids are really into that. So that's my 2 cents.
I have not tried the live yet. I would like to, but my internet is so spotty and unreliable that maybe eventually. But I hadn't thought about using Flipgrid to like keep in touch with the kids. I've always thought about it more as like the educational side. So I think probably that's the route that I'm going to go. And it might not be like live time, but I love the idea of just being able to check in and answer questions and just let them see what's going on here. And like you said, Sandy, that we're all in the same place right now. We're trying to just figure it out as we go. Oh, and speaking of people being connected, I need to email Karina, but does anybody know, because 5th grade is not supposed to have access to email, but I'm getting all kinds of emails from my kids. Do you have any idea if that got changed, Matt?
Yes, well, I think one of the decisions that was made, I'm trying to remember when, but it was just a couple of days ago, I think,
Yeah.
is to basically say turn on emails
Perfect.
for pretty much anyone who has an AS94 account going down those routes, because we need to figure out ways of making sure that everyone can connect.
Good.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I thought that was communicated out. I'll make sure that that Paul sends that message out to everyone to make sure. That everyone knows.
Honestly, we've been so inundated with information. It may very well be there, and it just slid through the filter. So.
Yeah, and I gotta admit, I take a lot of fault in that, because I do send a lot of stuff out, and I'm just trying to keep you all and everyone with some information, and it might be too much and it might not be enough, and I honestly don't know where the happy medium is, because as stuff comes out, I want to make sure that you have it at your disposal to use, but there's also a fire hose of stuff coming out. So I'm trying to filter that as much as I can, but on the same point, make sure you have access to the tools. So I haven't found the balance yet, but I will do my best to find a way to balance it out more.
Hey, Heather.
Oh, go ahead, Leslie.
Just was saying hey to Heather.
Hi, guys.
Oh, hey, Heather. Hey. So, Matt, I have a question for you as I'm building my own learning curve here. So I'm in some Google Classrooms with teachers and the kids. Can we set up, and some of you may know, of course you can we set up like a Zoom session within that classroom to be able to do something like this with the kids?
Yep, you can set up through Zoom, or you can set up through Google Meet. Because as you saw from this, when you clicked in, all you did was click a link.
Right.
And it brought you to this. Mm-hmm. So you can create your own Zoom account. You can use a Google Meet. I've heard that Google Meet is working really well right now. I saw someone had a meeting with like 45 people the other day through Google Meet, because it could take up to 200, something like that. Yeah. So usually the video and audio is a bit better on Zoom, but I'm hearing good things. So I haven't expressed that. But all you need to do is create the account. Then through your Google Classroom, you can say in your stream or in an announcement, we're going to meet. I'm going to have this time open, let's say, for, I don't know, office hours, or for just connecting about whatever it is. And then just like I did today, I opened it up about 10 minutes early. So people could come in a few minutes early if they wanted to. I'll leave it open a minute or two late. I can't do too late because I got to go get lunch for the kiddos. But that's how you do it. Just all you have to do is create a link, and then they, from their device, access it.
Okay. Very good. So something I was testing out yesterday, because I've been in some classes where they've used quizzes to add a little bit of competition to the classes, and did not realize quizzes you can assign as a homework assignment, where it doesn't have to be everybody logged in at the same time, but it will still give kids the same feedback, so that they could do it at their own time, but they could also see how they did in comparison to their classmates, which I thought was a neat feature.
That is neat.
Hey, Matt, would Kahoots work the same way?
I'm not sure if Kahoots can go non-live, asynchronous. I don't know that level. I know that Pear Deck, you can create a student paste on Pear Deck. But when you create your Pear Deck slide deck, whatnot, you can make it student paste. And what that means is all that gets sent out is the link and the code to that particular thing. Then students can go through your slides, and then if you have any questions, they can answer them along the way. And then when they're finished, a copy of it gets sent to you and to them.
Okay.
But there are some of those other both. I don't know about Kahoot. That can do it. There are other synchronous and asynchronous tools. We have access to Newsela now. I've been pushing out a lot about that information because I worked really hard to get us complete 100% access to their bank of resources from ELA, science, and social studies, but also their normal stuff, also their social emotional learning library. Also, we have access to their Wabanaki studies library right now through the end of the school year, maybe into July. So we have access to that for now. Didn't have to pay for it either. So that's another resource. What you can do with Luzella is you can take a text or an article there, and you can annotate it, ask questions along the way while they're reading it, have them respond to questions along the way, and then you can have writing prompts afterwards. You can create quizzes based on that as well. So it can be a way in which you can collect a text set on a topic and then have them annotate and respond to questions along the way. Plus, the benefit of that tool is that it has variable reading levels based on either Lexile or grade level. So if you have a 7th grade student who's reading at a 5th grade level, you can still find a topic and then meet it at her level. So, sorry, I went down a little rabbit hole there. Clearly, I've had too much coffee. I believe this is called exercising wait time.
It's a great therapy tool.
Well, and I think we're all just processing.
Yeah.
And thanks, Patrice. It's nice to see a kid.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Oh, and another one. There we go.
Okay, so those of you who have kids at home, speaking of kids, how is that going with homeschooling them?
Surprisingly well. We created a schedule, and I basically said, these are the things that we have to do. When do you want to do them first? Which one do you want to get out of the way first? And we have a little thing on the wall, and we're going through. So get a little bit of music, art every day, reading every day, and whatnot. So it's pretty good. It's easier actually, just because he's one at a time. It's more so I feel bad for Connor because I'm just like sticking him in front of Frozen 2 every morning for like the whole DVD while we do schoolwork. But we pause.
Doing the next right thing, right?
Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah. So we just pause every time a song comes on, and Dominic uses it as music class because we run out and sing Let It Go and dance around the room and count some of that as music anyway. So
I think that's
awesome.
So important to set up the schedule. I know somebody who's been a homeschool mom for like 12 plus years, and my niece has all that experience as well, has shared that it's important for parents to understand you're not homeschooling your kids for 6 to 8 hours a day like they would get if they were attending school. It's for elementary, it's like a 1 to 2 hours of learning time. Middle school was 3 to 4, and high school was 4 to 5. But even then, there's so many household things that they could be engaging in to learn those skills. So I think it's really important as parents are asking questions to help take some of that pressure off of them. And it sounds like you've got a good system set up, Patrice.
I know we also set up a schedule here at home, and what I've noticed is it really helps me relate to my parents at school, because when they're asking me, well, how do we get this all in? I'm like, you don't. It's okay if you don't get it all done today. You can do it whatever way works best for you guys. I had 2 of my kiddos, 2nd and 3rd grade, finish all their math up front yesterday. for the next 3 lessons. So today we just focused on literacy. I mean, then that's the nice thing is you can be flexible with it.
Yeah.
So as it works for you.
Well, I'm trying to homeschool my 20-year-old, and the schedule thing isn't working because she won't get out of bed. She's going at, I mean, I'm okay with this. This is like being at home is my thing, but she's going absolutely stir crazy. It's driving her crazy. It's bad.
So a mom of 2 7th graders, day 1 went awesome. Day 2, they're putting everything off and procrastinating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're playing ping pong right now with their grandfather instead of doing their schoolwork. But I think it's important to remember with all these really cool resources for us not to overwhelm the kids with all of them.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I want to try quizzes. Oh, I want to try this. Because they're pretty overwhelmed just with a packet of work that came home.
Mm-hmm. That's good feedback. Yeah.
I mean, they're game for trying things, but if 6 different teachers are trying different things every day plus a packet, I think it's overwhelming for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's my opinion.
Heather, I would encourage you to have the boys get on Facebook at 10. They can go under your account if you log in. Jen Thomas is just doing some fun math practice. And I was in on that today, and the kids that were on there were just having a lot of fun. And we were conversing back and forth, but she starts it at 10 and just goes through some fun problems. Some are challenged, some are just ones that they'll consider easy, but the interaction is really cool.
We checked in on the very end of that yesterday because I was actually out delivering food on the buses with my Facebook account, and they don't have their own. But we'll check that tomorrow.
Yeah, several of the kids were in under their mom's accounts, and it was neat.
So, am I unmuted? So my kids have been having so much fun with this, and I have too. And yesterday we really started with a bang. Today I noticed that it's a little bit different, but we're going to stick with it. In fact, Bodhi was just doing the clock experiment, Mrs. Batron, and that was fun. So I'm going to take some pictures of that to a little video to send to you. But my internet, and I know that there are families out there that are, and probably a lot of you that are dealing with this too, my internet is really not great where we are. So I'm going to leave the meeting, but I wanted to say that just being able to see you guys today has been really great. So thank you for this, Matt. I think it's a great idea.
Yep, I'm going to try to do these every Tuesday and Thursday. So twice a week. This one, I think Thursdays are at 11 and Tuesdays are at 1, just to kind of help with people with variable schedules and things like that. But and if the times don't work out, then we can figure out other ways. And if we need to figure out different ways of doing teaming and whatnot, we're there. We can figure that out.
Awesome.
But thank you.
So thanks, everyone.
I think we may
So
need to.
I have.
Oh, sorry, Jennifer.
That's okay. I was gonna say I have a 1st grader and a 3rd grader, and I really, as a parent, appreciate how 4th grade. Oh my God, how 4th grade has laid out each day and the work that needs to be that they'd like to see done. That's not funny. It's really helped Hazel keep a schedule. 1st grade for me as a parent is a bit overwhelming right now because they came home with a super big packet of stuff. He has his reading recovery books that he came home with, but then they're posting stuff every day, either in Seesaw, in Seesaw. All 3 teachers have different Seesaw accounts. So there's videos, and as a parent trying to keep up with each one of those environments and the things they're posting online, plus the packets, has become overwhelming for me. So that kind of put into perspective for me how maybe some of our 2nd grade parents might feel, even though we don't all have separate environments. It's all in one platform. So that's just something that, and we have a schedule here at home, but that's just something kind of that I'm keeping in the back of my mind how 2nd grade parents might
That's great feedback. And I think one of the things we'll have to think about going forward, as, as we go mull our way through all this, is do we then create those, dare I say, unified platforms? So like if one grade level is doing one thing, so it's all coming from one place, or do we still go with the individual teacher side? And I just don't know where we're at with that yet. And I'm okay with not knowing at this point, because I think we need to figure out what's working for you as the teachers, and then also is working out for the students, and then find that balance in between.
I don't know if it would be
Okay, thank
helpful
you.
or not, Jennifer, but just my own knowing of how long Dominic can or can't sit still in order to complete something before we even, because we only started yesterday. We took the first day after the 8 to 7 and said we're not doing anything this day. Like, this is, Mom was going to school and that's enough. But yesterday was our first day, and so Tuesday night I basically took out his folder and had gone through and Connor had gone through and kind of estimated, well, I think you could probably do this writing front and back for day 1, and we'll do this little bit of math for day 1. So I took it all apart. I didn't even leave anything in a packet, and I just tried to estimate, and I actually brought some extra stuff home so that if it was more than this amount of time, that at least he has some compiled all into one. But I broke it right apart. I don't think he would have been able to look at the whole, I know I couldn't look at the whole packet and be like, okay, just seeing how monumental anything was, even for, like you said, first grader, he's a kindergartner. I had to pull it apart and say, oh, these are the papers we're doing today, and these are the papers we'll do tomorrow. So we had to break it down a little bit. I don't know if that's helpful. The other thing I was going to say that like Heather was pointing out, yesterday was all guns a-blazing. I answered between 60 and 70 emails in under 24 hours from students. And today it's almost noon and I've answered about 15. So I think as the newness wears off, we'll have to work more so maybe on those connections, as it could slip away from us. So that's just something that I'm trying to gauge and keep track of, and see who isn't editing their Google documents each day to kind of stay active with those kids. Hi, Ethan.
Here, you want to say hi?
I think one of the things for, at least for my first grader, like I know that he has a harder time in reading and writing. So that's something that I've been focusing on more with him here, because I know that that's an area that he's, needs extra work in. But definitely we've pulled apart the math packet and all of that, all of like the reading A to Z book and things like that. Like, instead of having him try and work through the whole thing, it's like, we'll read half the book and take a 5-minute break, and then read the other half, and then do a couple of the questions and then take a break. For me, I think it's more trying, because I know that the first grade teachers are posting things in Seesaw, like just kind of daily check-ins for the kids. And I'm going to ask you this math question, and if you can respond, that's great. So for me, I think that's where I'm struggling a little bit as a parent, like just making sure I want to feel like I touch base with all of them so they know that we're here and we're doing what we should be doing. But it's all in different places. So that's something that I'm still trying to work out a schedule. Like, maybe we just touch base with the literacy Seesaw today and the math Seesaw tomorrow, and not both every day.
This may be something silly and fun, but maybe for those of you with the youngsters out there, I know that Dominic just gets a kick out of the fact when I pretend that I'm going to be Mrs. Witham. But if you saw him earlier, he had the Spider-Man shirt on. So this morning I started with, "Good morning, classy class." He goes, "Yes, yes." And I addressed him as Peter Parker during the 2 hours that we worked this morning. So I was Mrs. Witham to him, and he was Peter Parker. And that just made it a little bit more fun. So just to make it different, spice it up somehow, be creative.
Yeah, where my 7-year-old goes, her first grade class, they have these things called like Star of the Day or whatever it is. And so when we first started this out, she was the star of the day. And that just helped her get through the whole day. And knowing that, you know, her sister who's in 6th grade, who could care less about star of the day, she's the star of the day today, because you gotta keep the cycle going. And that matters. That tiny little thing has mattered so much to my little one's mindset and approach, that it's just, that's been something, at least in these early stages, has really just been fantastic and helpful.
I see Dominic having a W last name with Miss Scott and homeroom. He would usually be last to be like helper of the day or line leader. So he loves the fact that he gets to be helper of the day and anything else around the house every day.
Something else, especially for those with younger kids, one of the things that I'm doing with my niece and nephew, they are 4th grade and first grade. And so one of the things that I'm doing is I'm FaceTiming with them at certain times during the day. Like yesterday was 10 to 11, today is a little bit later. And I'm actually doing some of the work with them because, as we all know, they don't always listen to mom. So sometimes just having somebody else step in and kind of take on that role might help too, even if it's, you know, virtually. It's just a suggestion. It might help out.
Leslie's undergone some kind of transformation. Oh, okay, you haven't. I'm sorry.
He's just way cuter than me. I figured people wanted to look at something different.
So I guess one question that I have for folks is, during this time, how are we staying physically active? How are people going about doing that? I mean, I've been stuck in a room for the last 3 days. So I've been trying to do yoga. I've been trying to get my steps in, but that's kind of hard when you're in one little. I'm doing a lot of pacing back and forth. I was reminded of this image from The Simpsons of Milhouse throwing a frisbee, and then it just lands and he goes and gets it by himself. He just keeps throwing it back and forth and back. That's kind of how I've been living the last few days. But how are people staying physically active, which is a healthy part of what we do?
I'm lucky enough to have a pretty decent gym in my basement, so I have a treadmill. Got my steps in this morning, but you know what? It's so nice to not have to get up at 4:30 and do it. I can get up at 6:30 and do it. And then I can teach and look decent from the neck up and stink from the waist down if I have to. But I got my steps in this morning before my math lesson, so I'm trying to keep my body moving for sure. And yoga. I'm loving the new yoga program I found. So
the kids and I are doing Zumba on the Wii, and then when Justin gets home, because he's still having to go into the school, but when he gets home at about 2:45, we go up and do some insanity, and then letting this guy out every 30 to 45 minutes means fresh air every 30 or 45 minutes. So I think we're okay in the activity department, and we've already taken 2 walks in the woods, so that might get old quick. I don't know. They're pretty creative about it though.
I am so digging this commute, and I am saving $12 to $15 a day on gas. I am loving that I have not been interrupted once by a student. There have been no distractions. We have had one behavior issue that came up through group email, but other than that, this has become my preferred delivery system, and I'm hoping it sticks for a little while, which I know is horrible, but I'm digging it.
I'm just proud of our school. I'm just so impressed with how we adapted to this change so quickly and what we're providing our kids. It's just been really kind of heartwarming. It's been a rough year, but to see how we've come together on this, it's just been amazing. I think we're awesome.
I miss the adult interactions.
Me too. I don't have kids at home. All I have is just Dana and I here and my cat, and it's
Yeah.
pretty lonely.
Yeah, I told Joe, my dog is, I think he's slowing down, but I told him he had to last through this. And I told Ed if anything happened, he had to get me a kitten or something. I need something. Can only paint so many rooms in your house and do laundry and, so that's just me.
Good time to get a puppy and work on training.
Yeah, I don't really want a puppy, but Ed wants to travel. And it's hard to take a dog with you. And we don't train well. So we usually get very naughty dogs.
I'll talk to Karen about that.
Yeah. So this has been nice. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Just to go along with what Kelly was saying, I don't know the source of it, but my mom had shared with me a link where a gentleman had been praising teachers in schools and just said, the next time anything happens legislationally, to think about the fact that in less than about 24 hours, we went from what school looked like to a completely different version of what school looks like, and how that really came together by all of us.
Sure.
You didn't have the top downs who were telling us necessarily what to do. They basically said, you have the day, go figure out how to make this work. And I think we're all doing a pretty darn good job. And even just the fact that we are in this Zoom together right now, showing how much we care in order to be together. And I'm sure people will join more frequently as the time goes on in order to see each other's faces and whatnot. I, like Kelly said, I'm really proud of us. And if we could have had video recording of what the day looked like Tuesday, that 8 to 7, we functioned like a well-oiled machine with a massive amount of adults trying to make that work, and Crystal and her team and the buses and the food. It's pretty remarkable what we've managed to do in a short period of time. I'm proud of everybody.
Absolutely is some remarkable. Like I saw that thing and I posted it today, shared it, that people said, like, when you think about Apollo 13, you got all of NASA coming together to solve a problem for 3 people. Well, what we had is individual teachers, whatnot, we're solving problems for 80 people in a completely new, different way. And it's an amazing turnaround. It's amazing what you all done, coming together, supporting each other, supporting the families and students. It's really, it makes, from a personal, it makes me really proud to be part of this profession, to show how much we've been able to do and to change everything in such a short period of time.
Hey, Matt, just an idea. And now it's kind of too late for this session, but I almost wonder about if whoever's in the group each time comes up with 3 takeaways from the conversation, because not everyone might be able to go back and record or read the whole thing or see the whole thing. But if we had 3 takeaways, make sure we're chunking down the work and not overwhelming parents, whatever, maybe we could send those out, or you could send them out, so that, just if people can't or don't get onto Zoom, that they could at least hear kind of some thoughts going forward. I don't know.
Sure. So why don't we just do that now? What we'll do is, if people want to share a takeaway from today, they can. We can wrap it up for today. Great idea. And then what I will do is, once the recording's over, I'll just go back in and I will. Jen, you can always share yours by chat, or later, whatever. But we can always just I can go back, listen to it, and I'll record them and make sure that they're all in like some kind of synopsis or word cloudy type form. Does that work?
For me, I think a big takeaway I have is take care of you, and less is more.
Mine is from one of my favorite workout gurus, Tony Horton. Do your best and forget the rest. And I think that's what we're doing.
I'm just going to apologize for being so rude and taking that call. Apparently parents are sharing cell phone numbers now. So what can you do?
Not rude at all.
I think I'm definitely going to take away the take care of yourself, chunk things into small bits for our students, and try to recognize, especially at, maybe my grade level with multiple subjects at a time, that just because I post 2 or 3 things a day, they're seeing that maybe times 4. So to be cautious and try to congregate my items together into one fluid piece of information, whether that's daily or every other day, what have you. And mostly that it's not gone, just different.
I'm going to take away that we're all a really good support system for each other, and that we can only do the best that we can do.
Okay, then. I guess we'll just call that a wrap. Don't sweat the small stuff. Thank you. I'll make sure I get those things as well recorded in. But thank you all for jumping in and being a part of this and connecting. And I'll send out links again for when the next one's going to be coming up. Like I said, I believe I scheduled for Tuesday. If those times don't work, again, we're just trying to fumble our way through this and figure our way out. So just be open and honest and forgiving with all of us and everyone, because we're doing our best. And so thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody. Nice seeing you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.